The Middle Ages, a time of uncertainty, chaos, power struggle. If not for a movement, the course of human history would be entirely different. Within this rebirth known as the Renaissance, human history began to evolve and spawn to the modern era. Events such as the Scientific Revolution, Age of Discovery, and the Reformation all occur during this era. This is the story of the Protestant Reformation. The origins of the Reformation go all the way back to the Middle Ages. At the end of the Roman Empire, the Catholic Church becomes a very powerful force. Throughout the Middle Ages, power continues to grow in Europe. Now, how does this happen? Not only is the Catholic Church growing in terms of social power, but also politically and economically. As monarchs in Europe are fighting their own battles for power, the Church is steady and consistent. Throughout the Middle Ages, life was not the best for your average person. Religion provided a sense of hope and comfort. If a strong population of people within a country are devout Catholics, and this is all throughout Europe, that actually gives the Pope more power than each monarch of the particular countries. The Pope is the head of the Catholic Church, so gradually they're going to find themselves in a better political, social, and economic situation as time goes. It's also important to know that most people during the Middle Ages were not literate. They couldn't read and write, and they did not have access to education or a copy of the Christian Bible. This leads to most people following the lead of the Catholic Church. In Catholicism, the belief is that the practice of Christianity is through icons, statues, or art, rituals known as sacraments, and the Holy Spirit guiding the church officials. During the mid-14th century, or the 1300s, a natural human change occurs. This rebirth of classical Roman and Greek thought spawns the movement known as the Renaissance. The main concept of the Renaissance was humanism. Humanism has a lot of components. The study of social, political, and economics of ancient Rome and Greece, celebrating human achievements, valuing human life, increasing education, literacy, and thinking is one of the most important time periods in all of human history for sure. During the Renaissance era, a split in Christianity occurs. This is known as the Protestant Reformation. The story of the Reformation begins with the Catholic Church being a major political force as stated before. This is much to the dismay of monarchs who feel like their power is challenged and some humanist scholars. One humanist scholar in particular, Erasmus of Rotterdam, was one of the humanist critics of the Catholic Church and their actions. However, there was no major revolution. Many Northern Europeans began to question church practices, arguing that they lost sight of their spiritual missions and had too much emphasis on rituals and indulgences. An indulgence is a pardon for a sin when a Christian confesses or performs a good deed. During the early 1500s, the Pope, Leo X, decided to sell indulgences in order to fund the reconstruction of St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City. Pope Leo orders a monk by the name of Tetzel to begin roaming the countryside to receive funds. In exchange for receiving the funds, people would be pardoned for sins, even terrible sins such as violent crimes. All sins would be pardoned simply for purchasing indulgences. That would mean that a person would feel that they were forgiven for certain sins by simply giving the church money. These people did not have to perform any rituals. They did not have to become a better person. Simply give the church money. As you can imagine, this outraged humanists. One humanist in particular took drastic action. This monk was known as Martin Luther. Martin Luther would lead the revolution challenging these types of practices. This would be known as the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther was a German Christian monk that was almost struck by lightning and believed that it was a sign from God. He devoted himself to the church. On his pilgrimage to Rome and the Vatican in Italy, he realized and experienced corruption firsthand with some church members. He disagreed wholeheartedly with many practices that he encountered. He had a revelation. This revelation becomes the backbone of the Reformation. Over the next few years, Martin Luther becomes not only a critic of the Catholic Church, but offers his own philosophy on Christianity. Finally, in 1517 AD, Martin Luther nails his decree of what is known as the 95 Theses on the door of Castle Church in Wittenberg, Germany. This was extremely risky for the time period, as most people would face excommunication or even death. The 95 Theses included 95 statements of what the church was doing wrong and Martin Luther's philosophy on being a good Christian. This includes: indulgences and rituals do not save a sinner. Only genuine inner faith can save a soul. Only what was stated in the Bible should tell people how to live. Martin Luther also believed in predestination. God has predestined certain people who will be saved. Purgatory is denied. Icons, statues, or art and decorations stripped of the church. These ideologies become known as Lutheranism. By the 1520s, Martin Luther openly disagrees with the church. A year later, in 1521, Martin Luther is ordered to stand in front of the Diet of the Worms. Martin Luther is excommunicated. Excommunication refers to being kicked out of the Catholic Church. While in exile, Martin Luther begins translating the Bible into German. Through the use of Johann Gutenberg's new invention, the printing press, copies of the Bible were more available. So copies of the Bible and the 95 Theses spread through north-central Europe. Popularity for Luther increases. By 1524, Lutheranism had become the main religion in Germany, Scandinavia, and the Baltics, Eastern Europe. The events of Martin Luther spawned a wave of new Protestant reform all over Europe. John Calvin, a French Protestant, came up with his own reform, which largely paralleled Martin Luther's ideologies. His beliefs spread to Switzerland, Scotland, and parts of France. In England, King Henry VIII was refused by Pope Clement VII a divorce and annulment from his wife Catherine of Aragon. This angered King Henry, and in 1534 he declared himself head of the Church of England. Upon declaring himself head of the Church of England, King Henry dissolves any Catholic monasteries and steals all of their wealth. After his death, England goes through multiple religions. This in part due to his 3 children. This includes a retake on Catholicism in England under his daughter, Queen Mary I. Queen Mary I persecuted and executed many Protestants. She earned the nickname Bloody Mary. Eventually, Mary's sister, Queen Elizabeth I, took power over England. She returned her father's Church of England. Today, England is a variation of the Church of England known as Anglican. The Catholic Church responds to the drastic hit in power, trust, and money with what is known as the Counter or Catholic Reformation. During the Counter Reformation, a council would meet in Trent, Italy to discuss changes and methods to stopping the Protestant rebellion. This became known as the Council of Trent. The Council of Trent met periodically to discuss ways to save the Catholic Church, modify, and stop Protestantism. A group emerged from the Counter-Reformation known as Jesuits. The Jesuits were a blend of intellectual and Catholic spirit. They were a group whose main mission was to continue to spread and promote Catholicism. Another method that the Catholic Church used during the Counter-Reformation was fear. Executions, imprisonments, excommunications were all methods that they used. In addition, a Catholic court known as the Inquisition was formed, most notably in Spain. Anybody who committed a crime against the Catholic Church could face the Holy Inquisition. Many areas in Europe remained heavily Catholic. This includes Italy, Spain, Portugal, parts of France, parts of Germany, Eastern Europe. As time goes on, there's more religious reform, migration, and change that shapes today. So what is the legacy of the Reformation? Today, the Catholic Church remains one of the most popular forms of Christianity in terms of numbers. The Vatican City remains the headquarters of the Catholic Church. It is a small, independent country in the middle of Rome, Italy. The Vatican today is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Italy. The Pope is the official ruler of that territory. The Reformation split Christianity. It explains and paves the way for different denominations of the Christian religion. Depending on people's historical backgrounds, their ancestry, migration patterns, personal history, the Reformation may have had a direct impact on their social religions. The Reformation certainly is not only a significant part of the Renaissance, but also the modern world.